Now presenting Jason Williams of Kidoz.
I am Jason Williams, and this is a microphone. Can you hear me? Is that better with the mic or worse? Better? What's that? You need it with the webcast, of course. Alrighty. So thanks for everybody. What I'm really excited about is that the room is emptier than the last one, which means that you guys are very lucky and you're going to see what is happening here at Kidoz, because this is a great story that I've been working on for a long time. I'm a seasoned software entrepreneur, and I've actually been iterating multiple times within this entity. So we know this entity very, very well. My CFO has been working with me for more than 20 years. And I am thrilled to say that this strategy and this piece of tech, and I should talk louder, is really starting to scale up. And so, if I'm going to run through the whole model here, and then I'm going to tell you a bunch of the aspects that have me particularly excited. So what we are is AdTech software. All right, I'm just going to get through the disclaimer. I do hold shares. Kidoz is an ad tech piece of software, and our environment is the in-app space. Essentially, if you are playing an app, which is a lot of time games, if you get an ad, it is coming from a system very much like ours. And so this is a big area. There's about 80 billion in global spend within apps. But that is actually small, as you'll see in a coming slides, when we compare it against other similar digital marketing environments which have a similar user base. And so it's in-app ad tech. Mobile gaming has suffered a little bit over the years because of preconceptions about who are playing these games. We have in our minds that these are our teenagers sitting in the basement playing mobile games, but this is just strictly not true. And it's taken a long time to kind of shake that identity, which sits within the agency marketers' heads. And they're the ones who control the hundreds of billions of dollars of brand budget. And this is a very important fact, and it is changing rapidly. Right now, we're on the ground, we're seeing this change, and we're taking that money in from the brands. There's also a lack of understanding, which is changing, but there's some great benefits that we see on the other side of the slide here. One of the key ones is that the apps are immune to the disruption that is coming or here from the AI environment. And so some of you may have heard of this zero-click threat that is affecting the internet, because people no longer need to click through to the websites that have the information because they're using ChatGPT or Google is summarizing on the page, and that is disrupting massively the $100 billion worth that is being spent on web advertising. And so this $100 billion needs to go somewhere, and therefore it will go into other marketing channels, apps being one of them. And so it's a great feature of this environment, and is an additional tailwind to what we're seeing and what we're doing. There's also a couple of other components here in that there's excellent engagement in the in-app environment. People are used to touching their phones, unlike other environments where you are hesitant to touch your phone. In the in-app environment, you're actively touching your phone, which creates a very engaging type of performance, which we see from this environment. And that then results in our ability to create more interactive and innovative formats, which brands really love. This slide, I'm going to explain how we've structured it. Essentially, in marketing, what marketers want is to reach people. And so they're after eyeballs. And so each of these main channels, CTV advertising, social advertising, and in-app advertising, has 3 billion global users. So these are massive channels where you can reach any customer in any vertical at scale. No problem with scale. What the key here is on this one is we're seeing a higher CAGR. We're seeing a higher growth rate within the in-app space, because even though it has 3 billion users, it's got a much lower total spend globally. This is a result of the preconceptions it's also a result of the vacuum of which has been social media for the last 10 years. And so that has created an opportunity where the in-app space is playing catch up. And a lot of that 81 billion is actually not brand advertising. It is advertising that is driving people to app stores to download games or Netflix or other apps that are popular. And so the in-app advertising is actually called, in a lot of conversations, performance advertising, because it performs, it is engaging, and it results in action. And that is essentially what marketers want. And so there is an increased growth, increased opportunity, again, an exciting tailwind in this area. And so why Kidoz? Kidoz, we built an infrastructure from the first line of code that said, we do not want your data. We do not harvest data. We do not collect data. We do not use your data in any way. And that is the opposite to every single other ad tech company in the world that from the first line of code, they wrote, I want to steal your data. I want to harvest it, and I want to monetize it at the maximum possible rate. And so for Kidoz, when Kidoz was designing this system, when we built it and have scaled it, and it's an incredible system, that allowed us to then operate in the highly regulated, data-free world of KidSafe. And in KidSafe, we are the leaders, far and away. And it's actually taken some time for the agencies and the brands to recognize that we, in fact, are the leaders. And so that has kind of been like a delay process in what the results that you're seeing in our financials, and I'll talk to them a little bit as well. But this is our essential position. And so KidSafe is a great position, obviously, within kid safety, but on the first slide, you would have seen brand safe. And so we can use that same data-free, data-restricted advantage of our system now in an environment where brands and people, they don't want their data harvested. They don't want their data manipulated and resold. And that is an advantage in the market. And so our brand safe ad tech platform gets incredible results. It gets better engagement. It gets a good recall, and it gets a higher return on ad spend. And we're seeing this with the brand partners that we work with who are testing and then scaling. And again, we continue to build and invest and expense all of the R&D that we have done, $20 million worth of R&D that we have done. And these are three of our great brand partners: McDonald's, Lego, and Mattel. Wonderful partners. They care about brand safety. They care about kid safety. They invest in ways that are compliant in a highly regulated environment. And that benefits them because they get the results they want. And it benefits Kidoz because it is proof to our concept. And each one of these brands is spending more with us, and we have a great relationship with them, and we appreciate their business incredibly. And they are models for corporate growth amongst companies that care about compliance, data compliance, kid safety, and brand safety. Kidoz is perfectly poised for growth in the kid safe sector and in the wider brand marketing sector because we've got an excellent system. The system is very difficult to replicate, if not impossible, as one of my founders has said, because there are deep, deep technical investments required and long hundreds, thousands of man hours required on that engineering. And there's also a market adoption component, which takes years because you have to build the trust of individual publishers to adopt your technology, which we have done. We've also got the privacy first angle, which has not been replicated by anyone else and is actually, if you're starting out, very difficult to even begin with because you have no traction. And so you're looking at years of losses, and it is not something that somebody will do. One of our key competitors, about 4 years ago, we were working with them under a reseller agreement. They said to me, oh, you know, we're actually going to build a piece of technology like yours. And I calmly said, okay, sure. And then hung up and was concerned. 2 years later, he told me, well, now I understand why you weren't worried, because that was incredibly hard and we've given up and we've stopped. And so I was like, yes, it is incredibly hard. And thank you for that validation that this is incredibly hard. And so we are in an excellent position, both with the market traction and the technical infrastructure to grow and scale this business, which we are doing. If you looked at our financials, which I hope you have a chance to do at some point, you will see that in 2022, we hit our revenue high of 15 million. And that revenue high was exciting, of course, for us. We got to pay all our bills, and I think we got very close to a profit, if not had a little one. And then we were flat for 2 years. But what you wouldn't know is that in 2022, that 15 million was 100% reseller revenue, a bunch of which came from this person who tried to imitate our system in the market. And we said to ourselves, I said to the team, reselling under reseller structure is not how we're going to scale this business. We need to be brand direct. We need to have those relationships, because that is the only way that you can prove in a conversation that your system is the best, why it is the best, and why they should continue to scale up their buying, which we began that journey in 2023. Between 23 and 24, we replaced $8 million of reseller revenue. That's why we were flat. And so now in 25, we are pulling above that watermark, all on brand direct revenue. And truly, the sky's the limit. And so now we're in an excellent position with our own brand relationships, our own direct sales team, which is one of the key components to what we're scaling and focusing on now, and one of my key focuses moving forward, and is why I'm traveling to New York and LA after this trip, meeting with new hires that we've hired for our sales team. And 2025, there are a long list of opportunities that we are working on, and that number is super exciting and very much achievable. If we think about how we work as a company to begin working with a brand and then move up the value chain for margin and scale, this is how it looks. And so the first and very difficult component is to win a place on a brand's marketing plan. This requires a huge amount of effort in sales and technical kind of proof of what we're doing, and time, energy, responses, and case studies to hundreds of different brands, and focusing on your key ones to win that first campaign. And then you're building trust and you're delivering what they're looking for, which is engagement, insights, and ultimately their sales and their acquisition of new customers on the other side. And we do that first with impressions, and then we layer on some great targeting capabilities that we've built, which are not based on data, which are based on contextual capabilities. And again, this is a totally unique. We are the leaders in the in-app space in contextual no data targeting, because nobody else thinks that it's important, because they rely on data. But data is actually declining in terms of its availability. As you'll see, whenever you download an app from the App Store, it asks you, do you want to share your data? I imagine most people say no, and that's what the statistics show us. The statistics are now down to about a 15% share rate. So if you're relying on data for your targeting, it's not a long-term opportunity or long-term option. So we've built precision targeting with an AI system based on context, which is working extremely well and has a long, long runway and future ahead of it. We also can build and design based on engagement. And so we do this with premium formats that we build for our key customers, and they love it. It's a very exciting way to market, and I think has a huge amount of opportunity across many different brand and many different verticals. And we're just at the very beginning of that. We see that 20% of our revenues are coming from these custom creatives now. And we actually, like my DNA and several of the people in the organization, the seniors team, come from the gaming industry. And so we know what it takes to build very custom and very high-end interactive formats and creative. And we do that with essentially it's an ex-gaming team that we knew in-house and have staffed And so we are also leaders in the construction and implementation and execution of these type of formats at scale, which is very difficult. There's a lot of people who can build them. And yes, it's hard, especially on a timeline, but also being able to build the data hooks into it, because you're going to be running 1 million, 2 million of these every single day. And the data volume is insane. And so then you have to be able to compact that down, execute the full campaign, and then deliver the insights to the brand all in a streamlined format so the agency can turn around and give it to the brand and they feel like they've had value. And that is what we can do. Here's an example of a campaign that we ran with McDonald's, and it did excellent. And we built a custom creative, and they really enjoyed working with us, and we really enjoyed working with them. And it is just a wonderful opportunity to say that spend per restaurant is a figure straight from the internet. It's not something that we are privy to in any way. We do know the results from the campaign because we paid for some of the measurement, and that is what the figure was. And so people in America, they visit McDonald's anyway. It's not like they were like totally new to them, and this is 100% gravy to McDonald's. But we bank on the fact that McDonald's has rebooked with us multiple times, and they continue to, and we love their business, and we hope that they think as highly of the work that we are dedicating to them, that they will continue to dedicate to us. And there are many, many opportunities for duplicating this type of work across dozens of different brands in many different verticals. If we look at the ad tech in-app space as a whole, the big company in this area is called AppLovin. And so AppLovin, they own an important aspects to this ecosystem. They're early movers, and most of their revenue right now comes from the app install business. And great company, huge valuation. They're trading, I believe, at 40 times sales currently. And we trade at about 1.5 times sales. So there's definitely a disconnect there. Of course, this is a completely different organization to what Kidoz is, but it shows you that our tech stack, which is very similar, and we do hold many comparable advantages in that we've got a market leadership within the Kidoz Safe area. We've got great investments in leadership in AI. We have good pricing power with our brands, and we've got other competitive advantages amongst the brand safety, which is something that I think is very important. And AppLovin has actually stated that they don't touch the Kidoz Safe place area whatsoever. And so that has been blue sky for us. In terms of moats, I spoke a little bit about the technical investment aspect and how difficult that is to replicate. Really, there is no opportunity for someone to enter the Kidoz Safe area with a similar piece of technology. It's not going to happen. We had another competitor who had a piece of technology that was similar at the publisher level, and we competed with them and still do in some circumstances. But actually, as you're I don't know how many of you have developed software for a long period of time, but after about 4 or 5, 6 years, if you're working on the same tech stack, that's when it comes to the quality of the engineering and the architecture. And so there's a point where either you can continue to scale it or it breaks. And ours is continuing to scale and is fully modern because the engineers that we have in-house are hands down the best group I've ever worked with in my life. And they are iterating and developing this technology in a way to be on par with the other ad tech leaders. We're fielding, the measurement is in QPS, queries per second, thousands of queries per second from many connected other ad tech partners, and we are not falling over. We've actually just rebuilt all of our analytics system. Our competitor that I mentioned has exited this area. They now focus on YouTube and other influencing kind of technology verticals within the marketing space, no longer a competitor because their technology was not strong enough. And so we are alone here and the moat is significant. This is a breakdown of our 2024 revenue. We have, I live in England, in London. I'm from Vancouver, but and that's where our technology sits. But I live in London, and actually this technology has some roots in Israel, and so we've always been strong in Europe and always had great partnerships in Europe, which is kind of where that Western Europe strength was. But we're going to see it in 2025. The North America is going to have a nice bump because of our success in that market in 25. And the only region that we're not strong on really is APAC, but we're very focused. North America is the key market. The deal size is 5 to 10x what you would see out of a single market in most other parts of the world. It's the same amount of work. So we focus on America as our key market. Our staff, we've got about 55 now, spread quite globally. The tech is concentrated in Vancouver in BC, and is doing incredibly well under the leadership of an exceptional individual who I know quite well, who happens to be my brother. My brother worked 20 plus years at Electronic Arts, running very large teams, delivering billion-dollar pieces of software. And he happened to be available when this strategy started in about 2019. And I was able to bring him in because he was available. And we've scaled up the team from 12 to 55. And he's more of a back office kind of guy, and I'm more of a front office kind of a guy. And so we balance each other exceptionally well, and we see no problem scaling up this business into where we are going. And we've got staff all over, because in AdTech, what's very important is the time zone, because it's a 24-hour system. We have partners that are bringing in deals, making changes 24 hours a day. And so that's an important consideration with the staffing. And we're totally remote as well. So we hire the best people based on price and capability, not on location. And so actually very interesting demographic internally, which makes it fun, and exceptional culture, which is one of our key indicators, close to zero turnover. Like we've lost almost no one over 6 years. The same one person quit, and then she came back 6 months later, and then actually she left again because she wasn't good enough, and we got somebody else. That's the main person who's left. Here is a look at our year over year. We can see the 22 through 24, which I was talking about, the replacement of the reseller revenue. And here in 23, I've just got the time limit one, so I'm going to run through these numbers. We can talk through. I missed my first flag on time. Lots of cash, small profit last year. Record revenues are coming, great margins. Lots of different growth drivers. We're expanding in the categories, automation. We think that we're very similar to the ZoomD story in the placement of our pivot and inflection. Couple, 1 year maybe behind in that, but we're hitting it right now. I know the numbers obviously that are coming, and they're very strong. This is our leadership team. There's my brother on the left. Eldad is the original founder of this piece of technology, who I met, and we brought it into the group. He's in Israel. Our directors. This is the share structure. Strong internal holdings within the family. We're holding about 20%. Directors and officers we're everybody all in. We're about 25%. Floats 25%. We have some institutions, and that's it. Thanks so much. Sir. Yep. Yep. No, I think, yeah, of course. I think that would reflect the fact that we're working with 150 different groups are buying if we look at a year. But yes, there's a lot of low volume deals, because in Europe and in Central Europe and in Eastern Europe, we have a lot of business, but the deal volume can be as low as $5,000. whereas the key deals and the key customers in the US are 200 plus. Sir. Well, so the way the money flows in a typical brand marketing perspective is that they take their money and they give it to their agency, and then their agency will evaluate the opportunities in front of them and then give out that money and then report back to the brand based on that performance. And so we're one of the people dealing with the agency level to say, hey, we've got great technology. Hey, it's brand safe. Hey, we can make great creative. You should use us. And that's what they're doing. So it's not usually the brand that's making those decisions, especially a large global brand, and they rely on their agency very heavily. And so the agency is the professional at that allocation. Good question. I've been told I'm at time. Yeah. Should I take that one after? Is someone else ready to go? Yeah, sure. I'll let you know. Thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it.